So Erik, Bethke, you are the CTO of Million on Mars, and we'd love to hear more about that project. It looks so exciting to me, and you've done some really innovative things with NFTs, I see. So tell us all about it.
Thank you so much. It is just such an incredible honor to be here to share Million on Mars with you guys. Not just share it with you, but debut what we're doing, and to do it here at the Mars Society conference. I have goosebumps. I mean, I can't believe it. I mean, there's so many good talks. We've got, Dr. Stroker, Chris McKay, folks I've seen in the literature going back decades, back to when I was a student. An amazing talk on space nukes. Dr. Putzig with water ice underneath Mars. Like I am just on fire with just how many awesome, amazing talks there are, and how much I'm getting out of it. And then I also have goosebumps thinking back a year ago to last year when this happened.
How can the Mars Society help you?
For there to be a self-sustaining city on Mars, there's two sets: desire to go to Mars and can afford to go to Mars. When that intersection of sets reaches 1 million, roughly, then I think we will have this city on Mars. We need both the means and the way.
The will and the way.
The will and the way. Yes, exactly. The will and the way. When there's a will, it's way, but in this case, we need will and a way. So when the will and the way intersect, then we will have a multi-planet species.
I just loved it. I just loved how Dr. Zubrin helped him get that crisp and get it across the line. And so I feel this. I feel so passionate about the need to broaden this vision and recruit people, as Dr. Zubrin was saying in his opening comments, how science fiction was the initial recruiter from the rocket scientists 100 years ago. The way I think that we could help spread the vision and recruit the most people is via games. In particular, I believe in massive multiplayer online games. And then, but why games? Why games? Now, obviously this is a panel on digital entertainment, so some of you folks are very familiar with this, but I want to point out that games do make an awful lot of money. They make more than TV and more than film and music combined. And then they're second only to TV at the moment. TV, especially episodic TV, is making tons of money, over $200 billion a year. But interestingly, TV skews very old. If folks over 65 are doing the bulk of the hours, young people are at one-fifth the time spending on TV. So, TV has peaked, it's on its way down. Games are definitely on the ascendancy. And for scale, when you talk about market caps or market sizes, it's sometimes nice to reference other things. And it's fun to see that our space industry is $350 billion. And it's projected to grow quite a lot larger than we saw from Dylan Taylor's talk, but also semiconductors in this size too. So yes, lots of money, lots of attention, but why to make a game about spreading the vision is not about the money. It's not even that about trying to get a big share of the consumer's mind share. That's not the point either. I feel extremely passionate about games because they honor the player. They put the player right there at the center of it. It's the player, like they say about the best novels. The best novels is when the author doesn't write too much exposition, when the reader is able to paint the room, when the reader is able to create the characters in their mind and hear their own voices. There is a two-way beautiful thing that's made every time a reader reads a novel. I love that. But what gets me really excited is that games take that to the next level, where the player is also creating the protagonist, and then also decides what the plot is going to be, as well as filling out all the expositional bits. So I think games are just super important. I just couldn't underscore enough how important games are in terms of giving agency to the player to really experience these worlds. And then when you take them and you make them multiplayer, then it's all these people all making their own plot lines, all making their own characters, and doing together with each other in a world And then if you make that multiplayer world online and you make it persistent, then you have a world. And then you can really pull the future of Mars forward and have people really experience it. Okay, a little bit about ourselves. I am just so humbled and so happy to be working with these folks. First, Carrie Waters. This is my partner, my CEO. We met in the last couple of years together. I had this deep passion about Mars. I was geeking out about games. Turns out she is in the middle of writing a book about Mars, also about a positive future. And you know, she's a very accomplished entrepreneur. The last thing she did is she built a smart home water leak detection device that used machine language learning to learn how your particular home consumes water, and it could figure out if you had a leaky toilet or if you had, you know, a shower going on too long. And she did great things with that, successfully exited that business. Another one of my founders is Joel Petros, consummate full stack engineer, far beyond just software. He can do hardware as well. Excellent at scaling multiplayer systems. Just a pleasure to work with. Like literally every one of his pull requests he turns in, it's fun for me to read. And I'm tickled to work with Mitch Zamar again. He and I worked together at Zynga about a decade ago, but it doesn't feel like a decade ago. And he's our lead designer on our blockchain game, Land Rush. And then we have a bunch of other cool folks here. We have Kyle and Max. Max doing dev, Kyle doing community management. Nicholas is doing a bunch of 3D art and our train, which I'm going to be showing you. And Ali doing UX, community, music, and video. And then we have some amazing advisors. Obviously, it's a super pleasure, super humble. Oh my gosh, to have Robert Zubrin here advising us. I mean, I've been reading his books going back decades. So it's great. We also have Niccolo De Masi. He's the former CEO and chairman of Blue Mobile, with a successful exit of Electronic Arts. And Jeannie Edmonds, she's a fantastic and accomplished TV producer and filmmaker. She's really thoughtful, really deep thoughts on narrative and getting the culture right. And then Elizabeth Young joins us from Hong Kong. She's an extremely successful blockchain entrepreneur, and she's helping us advise and navigate in that space. And here's a fun photo of our team. This a little bit masks our team. We also have a set of contractors and partners that we use across the process things that we're building. So our team is actually effectively quite a bit bigger than this. But here's our Austin-based crew. And there's a local cement truck that was abandoned from 80 years ago that we took this photo on and we mocked up on Mars. Okay, so what are we really building? I told you a massively multiplayer online game. That's part of it. What we're building is we want to also assist with the same efforts as Mars VR, Occupy Mars. We want to grow the Mars metaverse. We feel really passionate about bringing bringing forward a positive vision of the future. We want people to feel great about the future. There's just so many different options for dystopias out there. There's reasons to feel glum about climate change. There's reasons to feel glum about wealth inequality. There's all sorts of problems out there. But we feel people need to have a positive vision of the future. And not only that we feel like they need it, you know, we believe intensely that it's through the settlement of Mars and settlement of the solar system that's going to unlock the technologies and the resources of the solar system to free humanity to continue to grow and expand and prosper and thrive, and even bring back some relief on Mother Earth. We'll bring back technologies for Mother Earth, make it, you know, energy more efficient. We can make the agricultural systems more efficient. I mean, you think about everything you have to do to succeed living on Mars. Apply that on Earth, Earth gets better. Like we have to get better at marketing how space is pro-Earth. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're doing that with 2 games and a book. We're going to spend the bulk of my time today talking about Mars, the 3D MMO on Steam, but also speak a little bit about Land Rush, which both of these we have just launched in the last 3 weeks. It's 2 games. But why would we do 2 games? Making games is very hard. I've been doing it for 26 years, so it's challenging. But why make 2 games? So let me first talk about Land Rush. Land Rush is our blockchain game. It's built on the Wax blockchain. It features non-fungible tokens. If you don't know what that means yet, it's kind of new stuff. It means that when you own something in Land Rush, you really own it. And that record of you owning it is written onto the blockchain record. It's like an open, transparent database or spreadsheet ledger. And so with Land Rush, we're exploring the concepts of actually owning your land, owning the buildings and structures in the land, creating jobs for other people to come to your land and do those jobs, and you go to other people's lands to do their jobs, and trading resources back and forth. So it's all about that hardcore, strong player-run economy. And that's about what I'm going to talk about today on that one. And then on Million on Mars, the 3D game, the MMO, well, that's where we try to get into what you guys are all about here at this conference. I've been reading back, cover to cover, both the Mars Colonies book and the Mars City States book. I love it. I love Nexus Aurora. I love the Korolev Crater contributions. There's so many great chapters in there, so many great systems. And of course, I've read Dr. Robert Zubin's books going back for years. But when I was trying to teach my kids a little bit about what a Mars base would look like, I would grab big sheets of graph paper and I would try to draw out these bases, and I'd try to draw out and show how big relatively the solar panels would have to be compared to the base. And then drawing, beautiful, great, but drawing, it's too tedious and too labor intensive. It's not good for simulations. So we are building a simulation where people can get into the in-situ manufacturing. We want them to figure out different strategies for power generation. Is it going to be small nukes, big nukes, completely solar, hybrid? How do you store your energy? All this stuff we're putting in the game. All right. So that's an actual screenshot from in-game. You see a couple of starships in the distance. We've got some domes, some science labs, some solar panels. And here is the setup for the game. The year is 2042, and you have just completed a big fat business plan for what you would do to create a settlement on Mars. And your business plan has been accepted by a character we call Leon Dusk. Now, Leon is really impressed with the proposal. He's decided to back you with $1 billion, but he's not giving you $1 billion all up front. Instead, it's a bunch of tranched venture debt. So neatly, you're going to have to finish a bunch of missions and make progress in order to get some of that cash. And eventually, you're going to want to turn a profit, and you're going to want to be able to pay down your debt and be a fine, upstanding city-state on Mars. You buy some fast resources from Phobos Station, or you can get some slow resources from Earth. And then, the focus of the game early on is on that early robotic phase where you're unpacking your rockets and setting up the core infrastructure and try your best to prepare for the first 20 NPC Martians. I've got a bit of a trailer to share with you guys.
Four computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Liftoff and the clock has started.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 0. 3, 4. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
And so we just went into early access 3 weeks ago, and this is a screenshot from one of our players. I love this player, and I love his screenshot. You can see him organizing out his smelters. He's got his solar panels up on a little bit of a ridge. He's got some methane fuel cells, water tanks and storage. He's really geeking out, and he's found a couple different bugs for us. In fact, he found a bug for how you can summon some extra rockets before you should have been able to do that. So we got that closed up from his contribution. This is actual height map terrain from West Ladons Valleys. We do use the high-rise data set, and the terrain that you see here is the actual terrain on Mars. A couple more screenshots here. Here's a high-level overview of how we go about doing that. We go into the high-rise data set. We grab one of their 3D digital terrain maps. We do some processing. We use some of our assets, some other engine assets. We do a little bit of proprietary sauce and put it together. And we create these hexagon plots that each player owns that are 250 meters on a side. And if you do the math on 250 meters on the side, it comes out very neatly to be 40 acres. So we like the joke of 40 acres and a mule. And it turns out that if you do that, if you do 250 meters on the side, each player gets 40 acres. Later on, they can buy some more land. It turns out you work out to having 831 million plots of land on Mars. At this time, though, we're focused on just the land that's available inside the high-rise data set. And we have a fun little cool thing where each piece of land is given a 3-word name. So on that slide there, you see acorns, axons, and allies. If you do that with 3 words and you have 1,000 words each, you can cover 1 billion plots of land. That's just to help players remember where the lands are and be able to jump around and visit each other. And here's another good look at the terrain. And we're getting better and better at it. Nicholas, I mentioned to you on the team doing the terrain, I gave him a challenge a couple weeks ago to take a photo from the Curiosity mission in the Gale crater. I said, using that photo, using the high-rise data set, and then go ahead and do a little bit of custom work on some rock decorations. How close can you get? And this is where the leading edge of what our terrain is looking at right now. This image on the right is from the in-game game engine. And this is what it looks like and feels like when you play the game. And on the left was the source image. So feeling really, really excited about how high a fidelity we're achieving there. All right, the crafting loop. It's all about in-situ crafting. I mean, if you boil the game down to, it is all about simulating the in-situ crafting. So how does that work? You have miners that go around scooping up the surface regolith. You've got little explorer type rovers that go around explore. They can build, they can repair, and they can do a little bit of light transport. But it's the miners that scrape that dirt off. They bring it to your arc smelter. And I'm modeling the arc smelter right now. There's some sort of differential arc smelter capable of processing different ores at different temperatures. And it processes it out, and you can stockpile refined bits of ignites, or you can go ahead and use them right away in some sort of manufacturing. I was stoked for Dr. Putzig's talk on SWIM and finding out that he's got the GIST data set. So right after this call, after this conference, I'm going to follow up next week. I'm going to gather up that data set, and I'm going to layer in that water ice to the best known values that we currently have and put them around the planet. And I would love help. I would love help getting models on how to distribute the different other minerals around the planet. I want to continually, iteratively use the current best science to keep updating the model and make it more and more close to reality. Here's another example of the crafting loop. While the rovers are out there gathering regolith to try and make some metals for you, they're also going to be picking up some water-rich clays, and they're going to be picking up ideally some water ice, depending on where you landed. Then you could take that into a waterworks, and the waterworks would bake the clay and get the water vapor out, and then condense the water vapor down. You get some water, or it processes the ice. Either way, you get to split that water into O2 and H2, and then with another machine, you cryogenically distill the atmosphere and get out some CO2 snow. Alternative to that, there's probably a couple other methods that we could use to get the CO2 out, like maybe some sort of like microchannel method. And so using the hydrogen from the split water and the carbon dioxide, you run everybody's favorite process, the Sabatier process, and you make methane. And with methane, of course, you guys know you're off to the races with rocket fuel, a plastics industry, and even earlier in the talk today from the Korolev Crater guys, talking about how you can just make food. So everybody loves methane. Okay. I can't be a domain expert in all these things. My team can't be a domain expert in all these things, on all these different techniques. In fact, we're not domain experts at any of this stuff. We make games. In a previous life, I did drop out of my PhD in aerospace engineering, and I did work at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and I had a brief tour of duty on the Galileo and Cassini UV spectrometers. But I am not a rocket scientist. I'm not a practicing scientist. I can read a science paper, or at least I think I can, but I am not a domain expert. But what we do is we model all the recipes in the game as to taking 4 inputs, and you can have up to 4 outputs. And it uses time, and it uses energy, and it uses tools and a skill level. And then it outputs something. And the output is either another intermediary resource or some sort of final polished good. You know, so based on this model, I had a fun conversation with Dr. Robert Zuma a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about solar power and nuclear power. And I knew he was loving to talk about nuclear power. He's been a big proponent of nuclear power in space for a long time. He's got a degree in nuclear energy. So it was really easy for me to tee that up and say, hey man, can you help us out and give me some direction on how would nuclear power look like at a high level, at a systems level. And so he gave us, you know, a rule of thumb, starting off with the 100 kilowatt reactor, get the mass at 4,000 kilograms. And then we worked out on some prices and guessed some things out. And then he's also a big fan about thinking about fusion reactors in the future. So we went ahead and created 3 fusion reactors as per his high level direction here. So if there's any mistakes in here, the mistakes are all mine. If there's anything great in here, the greatness is from him. That's a good way to keep track of that. But I had fun too, because then we had Dr. Poston from Space Nukes, the guy that actually made, you know, Krusty and Duff. He's giving his talk on Space Nukes. And then from the formula that Zubrin gave me, I was running Krusty 10K at 1,295 kilograms, but Dr. Poston had 1,500 kilograms. So I updated it, and I updated it in the game right during the talk. So that's what I mean. We can't be domain experts and everything. We want people to tell us what we're wrong about, and just we'll fix it, and then we'll make it better. And I want to make it better with everybody. You know, in anything you do in a crafting game and a survival game, it's fun how things break down and repair. Here's a set of images down the bottom of myself and my 2 sons. We were extremely fortunate. I took a 3-year sabbatical off from work, and we went sailing. And when we were out sailing, what that really breaks down to is fixing the boat in exotic locations. And that really sticks in my mind a lot in thinking about settling Mars. You know, we're gonna need systems that are super reliable, super modular. There's a lot of other experts that gave terrific talks on that. But how we're modeling that in the game is that each object has a reliability rating and then a durability rating. The reliability is like how many cycles can it have before it even had a chance to have a breakdown. And durability keeps track of kind of its health points for that object. If it gets down to 0, it's completely broken, needs to be repaired. We need help on this too. On each of the different systems, we need help on talking about what would be the reliability and the durability of an aeroponic system versus you know, a Space Nukes mostly solid state nuclear reactor, you know, versus you know, a Sabatier reactor. So you need help on sourcing these numbers, getting them better, and refining the simulation. Same thing with the food production system. Like, there's so many good talks here, but I want to get this right. You know, I would like to turn into like black box values for what would be a silkworm hab setup. You know, I've heard we can do a lot of wonderful things with silkworms. We can get some proteins. We can also get, you know, silks and fabrics. What does that look like from a high level? Like 4 inputs, 4 outputs, energy, time, tools, resources, skills. And then I could break it up and I could put it into the game. One thing we don't model is thermodynamics and temperature. And I would enjoy having a debate on the side with somebody else about that. But, you know, while we strive to be very rigorous and very in depth, and we want to be as realistic as possible to engineering science, we do cut the corners a couple places. And one place is by not modeling thermodynamics. But another place where we you know, where we cut the corners a little bit is time. You know, we run the simulation at a 30-to-1 ratio. So every hour that you play the game, 30 hours passes on Mars. And that's got to be true, because, you know, if you just had to sit there and just watch a tomato grow or watch Matt Damon's potatoes grow, that would take too long. But 30-to-1 is still a fairly long period of time. It still feels rigorous. And one of the things that is really neat is, so night on Mars is meaningful. It lasts about 45 minutes long. And so the way we set up the training mission is roughly a bit like Minecraft, where Minecraft starts you off and says, hey, you got to build shelter before night comes. We do that as well. We do take a moment, we pause time at 8 o'clock in the morning local time, and we guide you through the experience of getting your core energy systems up and wired in just for the first night. And then you can use things like a methane fuel cell to get yourself some on-demand power in the middle of the night. So we tweak a little bit with time, but I'm really proud of our use of time. It's very rare in a massively multiplayer game for time to be that impactful as it is in our game. Then we need more help on, you know, habitation systems. Like, there are so many wonderful talks on architecture, and there's so many different choices. We've got you know, inflatables, we've got geodesic domes, you've got lava tubes, you've got shields, all that kind of stuff. I would love to incorporate everybody's ideas from all these different chapters. And I'd love to get our 3D artists to go model them and create them and put them in game. I need numbers on mass. I need numbers on time to make, and lots of details. But I want to hear from everybody and keep making it more and more robust. And I'd like to unlock you know, everybody to go out and build their own settlements and have their own vision of how this works out. And let's see it. And then here's where it gets really cool. And you know, by being a persistent server, massively multiplayer online game, this is one Mars. It's one analog Mars, one super analog research station, a digital one. And we get to figure out, like, okay, at the high level, at the economic systems level, what's it going to take? How much in-situ resources and how much trade back and forth? Where do we need to go to get to break even? And that's the heart of this company. That's where the name itself comes from. Million on Mars. That was a phrase that's been kicked around for a while. I most often think about it with Elon Musk. I don't know if he was the true originator of that term. But the question is, how many people is it going to take for us to have a self-sustaining economically settlement on Mars? And so we can try that. We can try that now. We can have players go build out these systems. We could go have them build out their settlements. They can have a ton of fun while they're doing it. And then we can collect all that data and we can kind of sort some things out. I'm not going to claim that we're going to end up having something like truly, you know, rigorous and really a proof of this, you know, of the accuracy here. But it should be at least directionally very interesting. All right. I'm conscious about how much time I've taken, so I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker for you guys. But we need help on, like, hey, what about if we just sent, you know, thin film solar cells and didn't send the glass and didn't send the frames? And then what if there was a machine that was already there, not a machine that was already there? What if the player, you know, levels up through the tech tree, gets to the point where they can go and melt down their own glass and make their own frames? That would save, you know, 95% of the mass of throwing solar around. That could be really interesting. So we should test that out. This is really cute. I wanted to show you here. These are actually the first 2 versions of Million on Mars. One on the left That's version 1, one on the right, the version 2. These were both done in Python, and they were done by myself and my 2 sons when we were out on that sailing trip, and we prototyped the game, and I got it to be pretty fun. And this is what caused us to stop sailing, come back to Austin, meet up with Carrie and Joel, and get this company going. Carrie's writing the novel. I'm super excited about this. This is another thing I'm really proud about with our MMO is the year starts in 2042. We have real characters. There's a plot line. And as I said, time goes 30 to 1. There's going to be events in the game that are impactful and meaningful across the whole planet and carries the plot line forward and gives some structure to the game. All right. I have an ask. I would really, really appreciate you guys going to Steam, purchasing our game. It's $14.99 on Steam. The way it works, Steam takes 30% of it, and we're going to give $5 to the Mars Society for every copy sold, and we've guaranteed a bunch of copies up ahead. We've already paid ahead, and the way that works out, that if you do the math, the Mars Society even gets more money than we do out of it. But the money's not the point. Money's not the point at all. We want the feedback. I want everything I talked about above. I want to figure out how to drive more and more of those resources to be more correct. I want more and more recipes in the game. We have 200 different craftable recipes now. We have over 200 objects you can make. I want more. I would like to see 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and I want them to be really rigorous and fun. And the burden's on us to make it fun, but I want the accuracy in the data first. Beyond that, of course, I want you to play the game and just tell me what sucks. And then I also want to hear more about, especially the player-to-player part. It's exciting to talk about politics and how are people going to organize themselves on Mars. I don't want to come across and impose a particular governmental organization on the players. I want to instead give them the tools so they can go off and build their settlements as they see fit, and we can see some sort of that freedom engineering and see some different possibilities. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here. Thank you very much for tolerating my inaptitude when it comes to Zoom. I was sweating that hard. And we're hiring. We want more people to join our team and help us grow this.
Thank you so much, Eric. This is such an exciting project. I'm in love with this project you're doing. I want to tell you, I actually used to play Starfleet Command. I played Starfleet Battles when I was in high school, like the pen and paper version of that. And the first time I played Starfleet Command, I was like, oh my gosh, I could play an entire battle in like 20 minutes, something that would take me like hours to do. I had to geek out and just tell you that I've been a fan of yours, your work for a long time. So
thank you very much. Thank you. I just got that. Yeah, that gave me some goosebumps and chills. Yeah, I loved working on Starfleet Command, and I was really thank you. I'm really proud of that particular piece of work because Starfleet Battles is one of the most beautiful board games ever, but it takes freaking forever to play.
Right. We have a couple questions for you. I wanted to ask first about, you mentioned that you have this MMO version of Mars that's sort of like one big analog that you're constantly adding data to. Can you talk a little bit about what the research possibilities for that might be when that is fully formed? And I mean, I could imagine having researchers be able to use that as a test bed for various things.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can tell you what I hope and I dream, and I don't want to come across as sounding arrogant, but literally all of those proposals that are submitted to the Mars Society, every little bit of them, I would like to be able to optionally allow those creators to put it in there. People are suggesting different size, nuclear reactors, and some people are having different buildings. Build them, put them in the game, and then collect all the stats from all the players. What resources are they collecting from the regolith, and then continually, iteratively, again, update that regolith model, update the drilling model, and keep sharing what are the aggregate production values as well as the discrete ones from a particular settlement, and share that data with researchers, and have people go, look, wow, gosh, there's a really weird, here's what I'm thinking. this is totally speculation on my point of view, but I think that getting 20 to 100 people there will make some kind of sense, and you can do it, and then you can spend X number of billions of dollars, private and public, and it makes some sense. But I think there's going to be a hard uncanny valley, somewhere between the 500 to 2,000 person, where it just gets really tough to figure it out. And then after that, it starts to get easier again. But what I'm hoping is by building out the system and everybody play. Oh, and here's a really important part. It's really important that people own their land and that they really own their settlement, and they love it, because then they have that engagement and that passion to go build it out and grow it. And it's important that they can see the other people nearby and they can go visit and in a friendly way compete and share ideas. But then yes, share that data, and we can kind of see a little bit of a roadmap. Behind you, James, I think you have a PERT chart of a space plan, right?
That's the integrated space plan. That's right. Yes.
Yeah, I've been looking for that poster for a while. I lost mine. I want to get one again.
I can put you in touch with the folks that work on it. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great. So what I'm hoping is that this game itself becomes an integrated space plan, realized interactively and virtually with people. And it's hard to describe with words, but I'd like to have a much better version of that chart.
That's fantastic. Tell us a little bit about your timeline and your release pipeline. So the game you have on Steam, the sort of computer game, is one release. The Land Rush blockchain is another. Are you working on? Are you going to tell us a little bit about how that's going to work long term, and any other products you might be thinking about?
Sure. I'm not going to read this slide to you. I'm going to leave this up while I'm talking over it at the higher level. We're gonna complete both of those experiences over the next year. Complete meaning right now on the Steam game, you're dealing with rovers and robots, and you're dealing with that early setup phase. There are no NPC Martians there, and you, the player, are realized in a command drone. So there's no life support systems yet, and no bio needs yet. That's planned for Q2 next year. Or perhaps a little bit earlier. But we want to get the core systems complete about the rovers and storage and the linkages between the factories and a skill system, get people to really be able to, every player gets their own piece of land right now, as I spoke about, but we have another feature coming up where you'll go around and be able to pick out multiple plots of land and make larger sections, or have bases in a couple different places. So it's about finishing the fidelity of this in-situ crafting and the fidelity of this business sim too. You're a business as well as a settlement. That's this one vector. And on the Land Rush side, it's also about the same sort of thing. But that one's web and it's mobile. This is a hardcore desktop PC, so we cover all the major platforms. Finish out the blockchain gameplay and really prove out that play to earn model. This is a really new model in the game industry. I should probably spend a moment talking about it. I moved to South Korea in 2003 when the item-based model was brand new. The item-based model, we all know now, it's free to play. You go buy microtransactions and you're off to the races. You can do lots of wonderful things in terms of enabling people to play for free, try it. If they like it, they buy more. Now the play to earn model is coming along now on a blockchain game where people could, via their own play and via their own engagement, they can contribute to the game by being socially rich and time rich, and then they can actually earn currency in a cryptocurrency, and that cryptocurrency in turn can be withdrawn out to a fiat currency. There's this new paradigm shift that is going to revolutionize games. 5 years from now, my prediction is blockchain will be under the hood of almost all games. I even wrote a book back in 2008 where I was very critical of the end user license agreements in games, where I thought it was ridiculous that people have backpacks and swords and castles, and you tell them that it's theirs, and you get them all excited about that, and you have them play for 2,000 hours and pay you a bunch of money. But at a flick of a switch, you can just disconnect them and say, no, you violated our terms of service. We're going to rip all your stuff away from you. In my opinion, I see that as a human rights violation, a property rights violation. So I'm intensely interested in the strong ownership prospects from blockchain. So that's what we're going to do on Land Rush. And then both of these games, I'm going to start recognizing each other in the metaverse, meaning assets in Land Rush and assets in Million on Mars are recognized in either game. There's benefits to players. There's reasons why you want to acquire. If you wanted to unlock, for example, one of Zubrin's fusion reactors, you're probably going to have to play a bit in Land Rush, and then you can get it over there. And so we'll build out our bit of a metaverse here, and then of course the natural idea is to combine these two.
One question from Rick K. He says it's interesting to see Python code being used in some of your early prototypes. Does that have anything to do with the recipes, and will participants and players be able to write their own recipes?
That is a fantastic question, and I'm so glad you asked me that question. It turns out that the core crafting simulation that was written in Python is still being used today when it translates our spreadsheets that contain. We have a spreadsheet dedicated to each of the resources, a spreadsheet for all the missions, a spreadsheet for all the recipes. We use Python still to do the translation and then bring it into the database. And then to your question, an editor, that's the holy grail. That's what I'd really like to do, and that's why I'm throwing it out here, and that's why we're debuting here at the Mars Society Conference. Depending how much feedback I get from folks and how much interest I get from folks, we'll invest in an editor, and we'll invest in the ability for people to more rapidly iterate out new recipes and resources in the game.
Excellent. One more question. Let's see. Dusty Green asks, when you start out in the game attached to the main colony, do you then get your own land and equipment once you have enough money?
Right. We're actually a little bit more generous than that. We do give you a temporary lease to the land you're at, and you get one chunk of money to start with, and you get some starting items, and we walk you through a first time user experience. And then there is a quest chain and a set of tasks you need to do to truly own your land, and then you can and continue to earn more cash to get more supplies.
Mm-hmm. What engine do you use to model Martian terrain and objects in game?
So it's a mixture of stuff. It's again, we use starting off with a high-res data set. We bring it through some scripts that we wrote. We process it in a couple different intermediate ways, and then we bring it into Unity as the overall main game engine. And then there's an asset called Map Magic that we're fond of.
Alexandros Lordos, who's one of our 2019 Mars Colony co-authors for Star City, asks, in his design, he had worked on socio-behavioral challenges, personality development, and social cohesion on Mars. Do you see potential for simulating such issues through Million on Mars?
Yeah, I do, and I want more help on that too. Our current design is each player will have the ability to command and control up to 20 non-player characters. And each of the 20 non-player characters will have a name, they'll have a bit of personality, they'll have skills, and they'll have morale, and they'll have health. And then it's up to the player to grow those little NPC character skills and make sure that they maintain their morale. So food, fresh food diversity, safety. If there's an accident and an NPC gets maimed, injured, or killed, it'll have a spread of negative morale to the other ones, and they might vote with their feet, or at the very least, their productivity goes down. And I would welcome more feedback and discussion on how to make the model on the NPCs more interesting. And that's why consciously we did not launch with them first. We first wanted to lock in the core crafting systems and loops, and then focus on the human modeling.
What advice do you have for young game designers?
I have something really specific. find a great game and then write the game design document for that great game. I literally mean that. I call it a reverse design document. In my opinion, writing a game design document is two different skills at the same time. One, you're having to be creative and create a brand new game. And two, you have to write it and document it and share that with other people. If you want to be a game designer, it doesn't matter how cool your idea is if you can't communicate it. And so rather than burdening yourself with the burden of learning how to write a design document and trying to come up with a great game, just wipe out one of those requirements and just pick an already great game. And then screen by screen, by action, control by control, monster by monster, or weapon by weapon, however it is, dissect it, tear it apart, and write it, and see if a buddy of yours can read your writing and understand what to make.
Okay. Well, for our last question, we're going to throw it to our room in AltSpace VR, and they're going to ask you from there. Go ahead.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
We can.
Hi, my name's Nathan. I'm a recent backer of the Land Rush project. Just want to tell you how excited I am about it as well. It just looks absolutely brilliant. My question is, you mentioned briefly before there was going to be some sort of relationship between the two games. Could you just expand just a little bit more on how that will work?
Yes. So I'm going to speak as precisely as I can about this. Very, very recently, yesterday, Steam rejected any game that's built on the blockchain or features NFTs. And
Right.
I had very strong suspicion that they were going to do that. And so I will admit, I feel pretty smug and pretty smart that we have separated our two projects this way. I was like, I'm sure Valve and Steam is going to have opinions. So let's just keep our blockchain learnings isolated in a particular swim lane. And then let's also go make our awesome in-situ crafting game on Steam, right? Two extremely important vectors of learning and iterations that need to happen. And it would be a tragedy to have Valve roll over, and I can't think of polite words, but I didn't want that to happen, right? But metaverse. Let's not just be metaverse with hands waving around the world. Let's actually be a metaverse, right? Right. So again, in Land Rush, you have land, you have buildings, you have workers, you have NFTs. I can look on the wallet, I can recognize that, and from that wallet, I can actually pop that into my database and recognize your status having that stuff. On the Steam side, I log in the database and go, oh, well, okay, cool, check it out. James Burke has unlocked fusion reactor technology because of the stuff he's done over there. Boom. And so I can start to stitch together recognition, meaningful recognition.
Brilliant way of doing it.
Yeah. And then when Valve and Steam looks at that, they're like, what are you doing? Are you doing any blockchain stuff? I'm like, no. I'm doing metaverse stuff, dude. Come on, catch up.
Yeah, they need to, definitely, 100%. I sent you a message yesterday as well. Obviously, I don't know if my full name came up or not, but you might know me in Discord as Nay the Horse.
Oh yeah, Nay the Horse.
James will know me by that as well through obviously the Marscoin project, and I've been involved in that all year. And I'm such a big fan of everything. Like I've been like really nerding it out recently on everything, and finding Million on Mars project just blew my mind. So well done to everyone here. It's pretty surreal to be speaking to all of you guys, and obviously Robert Zubrin being here is just mind blowing. Yeah, overwhelming. Even though on VR, I feel like I'm with you guys. It's really strange. Like
You are totally with us right now.
Loving it.
Yeah.
I feel it. Oh, you just came on really big on the screen in front of me now as well, James.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Go
I'm
ahead.
blown away. I'm blown away too, man. It's just so awesome to be here and just listen to all these amazing sessions, and to think that I have a chance to sit here and share something back. It's amazeballs.
Well, hey, Eric, this is an incredible project. We're huge supporters. We're going to be huge supporters of this and your success. One last question. If someone wanted to be a founder, how could they do that? I know that's an option as well for folks.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to be a founder, probably the easiest thing to do is to pop into our Discord channel, and we can walk you through the steps. to be honest, blockchain stuff is not yet consumer friendly. You have to do things like go get a Wax wallet, and then you have to fund your Wax wallet, and it depends on which country you're in, or how do you fund a Wax wallet? Is it through Binance? Is it through whatnot? So we would give you the white glove VIP treatment and walk you through that. But being a founder in the game is pretty nice. You get to play the game up front. You get a feedback for us, iterate and change it. But we're also got loads of benefits coming into you with airdrops coming in every week. So it's going to be, you're going to get paid off a lot more. Plus, you get to found access tokens yourself and get to invite people in the game in the future. And it's going to get more and more benefits. We're just going to keep adding stuff to it.
Yeah, I went through all that, but I'm kind of a blockchain nerd, so it was a little easier for me than a normal person. But definitely, I would recommend folks, if you're really excited about this project like I am, go check that out. Go join their Discord and become a founder and help out Erik and his team. Well, thank you so much, Erik. This is a great project, and thank you so much for participating in our conference. I'm sure this will be the first time of many that you do that, and we wish you all the success with your project, Million on Mars.
Thank you very much.